Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another episode of Kicking Aces here in World of Tanks. And today I am in the Kiho, the Tier 4 Japanese light tank, and we are in a standard battle on Severogorsk. Now, I've had this replay for a little while, and that's for a couple of reasons. One of them being I had a ton of trouble editing this video. It has been the hardest video to edit out of any YouTube video I've ever done. So I hope I have all the bugs worked out. I hope there's no problems with it. If you see anything though, realize that this is about the fourth version I've gone through, and hopefully this is as good as it's going to get, and hopefully it's of decent quality as well. So the other reason, this is a tier 4 game, so it's a little bit lower tier. I don't put up a ton of these, but I like to go to them every once in a while when the opportunity presents itself, and I think this is a pretty good time to go to a tier 4 tank because we are in the middle of the Road to the Top event, which features a couple day window of starting at tier 3, you have a couple days to get a certain level of XP, and if you do, you get a big silver payout, and then a couple days later, the next tier will unlock. So you have to do the second operation only in tier 4 tanks, get so much XP over a couple days, and then the next day, the next op will unlock, and that you'll be in tier 5s, 6s, 7s, all the way up. And the credits that you can earn for this video, for this set of operations, gets pretty substantial. The tier 10 payout, I want to say it's like a half mil or a mil. It's crazy, but you need to put up, again, I'll put the numbers up on the screen, what the operations are, but I think it's 150,000 XP in tier 10 tanks in 3 days, or something ridiculous like that. So good luck for that one. The good news is if you fall behind, the operations, the lower operations stay active. So the tier 3 operation is active from the start of the event to the end of the event. But the tier 4 didn't unlock on the first day, it unlocked on whatever, the 4th or 5th day, and then would be active until the end. And then the tier 5 unlocks on the 9th or 10th day or whatever it is, and so on and so forth. So at the end, you only really get 3 days for the tier 10s, but everything else you get a little bit more of a buffer. So we have taken the Kiho. Let's get back to the battle at hand here instead of rambling on about the events that are going on right now. And we've taken the Kiho to the far west, and we're in the north corner here. We're using a little bushwork, and we're trying to get some early shots out. And I really enjoyed this tank. You're not in it for very long because it's just a tier 4. But if you're thinking about going up the Japanese line, I would certainly recommend it. And this tank certainly isn't going to be a roadblock to your progress. I blazed through it really fast, and I had a great time using it. It's got a 57mm gun that fires 25 rounds a minute, so that's 2.5 seconds, give or take, to get your reload. And look at the DPM that I'm just pumping out here at this tier 5 Wolverine. I mean, even if we hadn't gotten the assist damage there from our allies to take him out, we could have just pumped 2, 3, 4 more shots in before he even turned his turret and got one off on us. The penetration's pretty good on the top gun. It's 87mm, and the damage is 75 hit points per shot that it takes off. So you can dish out damage super fast in this tank. If you can get up on somebody's side or flank, or they're shooting at somebody else and distracted, then you can just pump out round after round, again, one every just about 2.5 seconds, and really do some damage on these tier 3, 4, and 5 tanks that you'll most often see when you're in this tank. The accuracy on the gun is pretty bad. It's 0.41, which, you know, for low tiers isn't necessarily bad, but it can be a bit of a struggle if you're trying to snipe. So use this as a brawler. And you can see there, my ally and I were going to poke around the corner, and then he got taken out from behind by this tier 1 or this T1 heavy. And so we're going to use our speed and mobility. The speed on this tank is really good, and we're going to slot in right behind this big heavy tank and just go to town on his rear plate, which is not well armored enough to deflect our shots. If we were shooting at the front of that tank and he was at all armored, our shots would bounce off harmlessly. But because we were able to have the flush side and the rear of his tank, we were able to put in the damage and quickly remove him from the game for our second kill. So now we're going to progress to the middle. There was nobody left to push the hill with me there, and I don't want to go by myself. Again, this tank doesn't have a lot of armor, so you don't want to be the tip of the spear because you can get taken out just as quickly as you can dish out the damage. But we got a nice little opportunity here on the medium, and we put a couple of shots in. We take 1 or 2 hits in return, but we removed the entirety of that tier 3. I think that was a British medium tank. We do get a spot on the artillery, both artillery pieces. One is above us on the ridge line. We don't really have a shot. The second one we did have a shot, but it doesn't go in. So we want to get out of the way there, because if if that already splashes us, then we'll probably be taken out or very close to it. So we break line of sight. We're going to stay down underneath the gun arc of this Grilla. He's going to have to come down the hill if he wants to take us out. That's the Tier 5 German artillery, which is a very dangerous artillery piece, and especially in a Tier 5 match like this, he could certainly do a number on our tank, but he would have to come down the slope to do it, which would probably be the end of him as well. So we decide to not push our luck. Once he pulls back, we're going to get out of there and relocate, and once again try to use the speed of our tank. So we're down here, or I'm sorry, we're up here 11-10, and the other advantage is the enemy has just 3 artillery left and 1 regular tank. So we should be able to clean up nicely here at the end of the battle as long as we play smart, use our speed and mobility to our advantage, and clean up a couple more kills here before this battle ends, and turn this into a nice result. So right now we're just trying to cautiously poke some ridge lines, find out where these artillery pieces are. Now, apparently they know where we are because they're splashed pretty close to us. So we're going to get back down into this little dry riverbed and progress to the south, and then we're going to work our way over towards the enemy capture point. Usually artillery likes to sit back in that mountain range there, so maybe we'll find one of them there. We know one of them is posted up in the middle of the ridge around the E2, E3 area, and there's their regular tank. We can see, is that a Churchill? And he's moving across to the left here. We're going to see if we can get some shots in. We have a shot, but it bounces. That's a heavily armored tank, and the penetration on this gun, again, not the best when you're shooting at Tier 5s. 3s and 4s are okay. 5s, and especially heavily armored 5s, you're going to struggle a little bit. So we did light them up for our allies to put a couple of shots in, and then we're going to relocate to try and get behind the Churchill there, because once again, that's a tank that if it's looking at you in this Kehoe, in this lightly armored vehicle, they have a really rapid firing gun on that Churchill, and his armor would probably hold up, and mine certainly would not. So not a favorable position, but our allies take him out, and there we go. There's the Bishop. That's who we were looking for. And now we can just start to pump in some damage, and he's trying to traverse, and he gets close, but now we have his side, and there's not much we can do here. He's going to try and do a little juke, a little back and forth, and we almost give him the side of our tank, but we keep our cool, play it safe, and keep pumping round after round in there. Remove that British artillery piece from the game for our 4th kill, which leaves just 1 enemy left. And excuse me, that's going to be the last artillery piece, which we last saw up here on this ridge. We are the closest tank, we are the fastest tank, so we're going to have the first crack at him, and we'll be able to go for 5 kills. We do confirm there by checking the team list that it is the Grilla, and I think he was on 3 kills, so he's definitely having a good game, and he's definitely an experienced artillery player. So we don't want to give him the satisfaction of a 4th kill, and we definitely want to end the game by taking out the scumbags. And bonus, since he's far to the north, there's nowhere for him to drown himself. He would have to be only down at the south there where the riverbed is. There's probably a space there where he could drown himself, but he's stuck up here, so he's going to have to go down swinging. And we're going to come around the corner here. There he is. There's the artillery. We're going to use our speed to get past his gun traverse. We put 1 in. We've got his side. He's not going to be able to turn in time, and our 2nd shot finishes him off for our 5th kill and securing the win. Nice game there in the Kehoe. It's a great, it feels like a medium tank. It's a light tank at Tier 4, but it has a lot of medium brawler characteristics. We'll take a quick look at the post-game stats and then talk just a little bit more about the tank. And we can see that we put up 1,390 damage along with our 5 kills, about 300 assistance, and we did have a block or 2 in there as well. I'm not quite sure how that happened. Must have been a really, really low caliber gun. And that was enough to secure our ace tanker in this tank for 1,363 base XP. Not too bad in a Tier 4 tank, and that's a really nice result. That was my best game while grinding through the Kehoe. But I did have a number of really good games. It was a consistent performer for me. Definitely one that I enjoyed and would recommend to everyone. If you're going up the STB1 line, like I said before, don't fear the Kehoe. It's definitely a good one in the line. So we can see that we shot 33 times and 25 of those hit, and that's pretty good. That's about what you can expect from this tank. You know, don't try to snipe in this tank. You're going to miss a lot of shots if you do. You want to be at medium range, brawling range, pumping shots in very quickly where you don't have to worry about missing. And 21 of the 25 penetrated. Again, a couple of those at the heavily armored Tier 5 tanks like the Churchill are going to bounce. That's what you can expect from this gun. And that all totaled up for 1,390 damage. So to wrap up this tank, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I've gone back to it once or twice, you know, when I have missions like the road to the top now, where you need to play in some tier 4s. Hey, this is a great tier 4 to be able to jump in and get some XP towards those operations. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It gave you a little bit of insight into one of these lower tier Japanese tanks, and it'll encourage you maybe to try out the line, work towards the STB-1. From all accounts, it is a phenomenal tier 10 machine if you like rapid firing guns on tanks that don't have a ton of armor but maybe have a pretty good turret. It's definitely what I'm working towards. Not close to it yet. I'm still focusing on some other lines at the moment, but I like to play this line whenever I have a free tank or if I'm trying to get my daily double. So if you guys enjoyed that, if it was at all informative to you, please give a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. And feel free to subscribe so you're notified for future videos. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.